there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sassy Panda coming at you with a feedback video about our favorite raiding game, 33 Immortals. I have got about 2.5 pages of feedback that I wrote in shorthand, so let's jump right into it. First thing on the list is the mouse cursor lock, but as we can tell from the patch notes that released earlier today, that has already been patched. So excellent, very great job on that. That definitely will save a lot of headache. Next is I'm going to talk about the quick chat feature. Now, I have read a fair amount of the feedback in Discord, and even just from observation of normal chats and just listening to people in voice chat, a lot of people want or think that having a chat system in game would definitely help, and I agree. Meanwhile, there are other people who disagree and think that it will just bring in toxicity and elitism, but unfortunately no game is safe from that. Final Fantasy gets pretty close to it, but even they still have toxicity and elitism. It is what it is, right? What I propose is that when you're doing Inferno and especially Purgatory, you got a lot going on, and you don't really have the time to be stopping and typing up a whole message. Besides, as we've noticed from the compendium and other games, people aren't really chatting a whole lot, or they're not taking the time to read, I should say. And can't really blame them when when there's a lot going on. You gotta dodge God's wrath and pesky bugs and headless choppers. It's a lot going on. But what I propose is instead quick chats throughout the Monster Hunter games, more specifically Monster Hunter Generations and Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on the Switch and 3DS had a quick chat feature where you could write your own custom messages. Of course, they were within reason. Obviously you can't use obscenities or slurs or any kind of vulgarity, so keep it clean, people. But you could write quick sentences and then just toss them out, and the same aspect that we do with the emotes here. And so that's basically where I'm going with this, is that write up a message that says like, hey, chest here, or found the secret dungeon, or follow me, or all kinds of multitudes. You can write up all kinds of things, and then you would just set that to your scroll wheel. Obviously you've got emotes, objectives and tactics, and then you just have a fourth one that would say chats, and that's where you would have your quick chats, and you could just mouse over them as needed. That being said, we have this objective here that says key. This is very ambiguous. It's not intuitive, and I think it should be replaced with a treasure chest icon, because if I throw this out there, people are going to be like, key. Some really clever people are going to know, like, key, okay, that means chest. I'm coming. I want a key from, I want a potential key from a treasure chest. It's like I said, too ambiguous. It's not intuitive. If you replace it with a treasure chest icon, people are going to get it every time, and they're going to be more inclined to chase after you and help you with the chest. Next, I want to talk about the feat leveling system. I think this is pretty interesting, but I don't think it is a good system for what you're trying to do. and that is you've got your perks locked behind it. You've got a lot of things locked behind it. I think what you should instead incorporate is an actual leveling system. Keep the feat system. Use it as achievements. Use it as what it is, feats. And sure, you can level it up still if you want. Unlock your bonus stats, your bonus cosmetics, and even the crown of immortality, which I'm sure will be very important to the actual story and also to flex on people, right? It's all about those cosmetics, baby. But more importantly, I think what should be added parallel to it, if you will, is an actual leveling system. You you go through these fights, these raids, and you gain experience. Now you're probably thinking, what am I going to get experience from? And that's from everything. You can get experience from the amount of elites that you've killed, the amount of dungeons that you've ran, how many level ups did you gain, how many ascensions did you partake in and complete. And for every ascension that you successfully completed, you get a chunk of XP. Not only is that going to educate people on the importance of doing the additional ascension gauntlets, but it's going to make people want to do them, because if you tie that to XP, oh man, people don't play when it comes to their XP gain. So they're going to be doing whatever they can to get that XP. Going further, let's say you ascend, or also how many people did you resurrect? How many co-ops did you initiate yourself? How many co-ops did you participate in? There's so many different things that you can tie to XP gain. And then once you ascend, you go to Lucifer. Then okay, well, how far did you get into Lucifer? Like, you'll already do that for the currencies here. It's like, okay, well, there's certain breakpoints every 3 health bars, and you can tie that into experience. How many breakpoints did you get to? Well, that equates to this many experience points. And then once you fully killed him, you're like, okay, well, you completely killed him and you got this amount of XP, but then you also get bonus XP for killing him as well. And it just continues to go from there and there. And I say that the level cap should be 33, because 33 Immortals. And then if we break that down, let's go to the perks here. If I remember correctly, we start out with 2 perks unlocked, and then we have to unlock these other 4. And if you take 33 and you divide that by 4, that's basically 8.25 or 8.25 levels per perk. So what I suggest, instead of tying your perks to your feat levels, you tie it to the actual level system, and then you have these 2 that are already unlocked, and then this one unlocks around level 8, and then these last 3, this is 16, this is 24, and this is 33. But for these last 3, you also tie them to the bosses. For example, you could tie this, be like, oh, you have to be level 16, and you have also needed to kill Lucifer to unlock this. This one, you got to be level 24, and you got to kill Adam and Eve to unlock this one. And this one, you got to be max level, and you also got to be, you got to have beaten Paradise. I think that's way more engaging, way more enjoyable, and just I guess you could just say intuitive. Not to say that feats aren't intuitive. I mean, it literally says reach feat level 15, but grinding feats, even reaching level 11 and 12 and up, even just getting to 8 is painful. And so I think having a separate level system based off of what I described is going to just improve your game better and be more engaging. And then to further that, someone had mentioned a rebirth system. Now, I'm not saying rebirth. When I say rebirth, I don't mean a prestige system like in Call of Duty and other FPS games. No, I mean like a rebirth system like in the MMO Ragnarok Online, which came out in the 90s. And since this game, 33 Immortals, is based around MMOs and raiding and what have you, I think that lines up perfectly. And so once you reach 33, you can come down to Beatrice here, and the A, she'll just immediately recognize you and be like, wow, you've maxed out your level. Let's go ahead and rebirth your soul. And then you undergo a rebirth, and it, basically resets you down to 0. Of course, you still keep your extra stats from your feats, but by rebirthing, it resets you down to 0, resets your level down to 0. And as a result, you get 3 bonus stats. And if you cap the rebirths at 10, so 10 rebirths, that's going to be 33 bonus stats, which again lines up with the whole point of the game, the name of the game. You see where I'm going with this? There's a pattern, right? Linking it all back to 33 Immortals. Now, you could probably do even more stuff with the whole rebirth. Make it a quest, like in Ragnarok Online, you get to max level, you do a rebirth where you have to go to Valhalla because Ragnarok Online is all based on Norse mythology. So you have to basically do a quest, go to Valhalla, and be reborn. Right? You have to ascend into the gods and be reborn, and that takes you all the way back to level 1. But you get a whole bunch of bonus stats as a result. So either Beatrice can just be like, hey, congratulations, you got to 33. Let's start the rebirth process, and she just rebirths you on the spot, and you get those 3 bonus stats. Or maybe she makes it a quest, maybe you gotta do something else, or pay tribute, who knows. But the point is, I think the whole rebirth system is that's pretty nifty, and will definitely add some additional layers to the game, especially if you can rebirth 10 times, get 33 bonus stats, and then allocate them as you see fit, and then you can also reset them as you see fit using paragons. Then why not, right? That just sounds fun, just sounds enjoyable. Going on to my next list here, or my next item, I should say. Which basically I already talked about, which was just keeping the feats as achievements, because they still have merit, you can still tie things to them. But actually, speaking of keeping feats, if you do the separate level, the parallel leveling system, and you put the perks behind that leveling system, so take it out of the feats and put it with the leveling system I described, and you instead opt to keep the weapon mastery attached to the feat system, then I sincerely and greatly beseech you that you should reduce the feat requirement from 8 to 5. 5 is way more manageable, whereas 8 gets to a point where it's it's kind of grueling, and you're just like, I just want to unlock my weapon masteries. And the weapon masteries are huge. They're super important. They are quite literally game changing, and the amount of time that it takes you to reach feat 8, that's a whole time, or the whole time you're just playing with the basic weapon. And to get feat 8, you're going to have to complete all 4 of these. You're going to have to complete the bow, the sword, the daggers, and the sloth to get to feat 8. And let me tell you, that's incredibly boring. I I was originally a bow person in the very first beta until I discovered the greatness that is parry god, and so I mained sword, but I went back to bow and even learned daggers and staff so that I could get to feat 8. And I'm sure that's your intention, right? But staff of sloth did not get enjoyable for me until I unlocked bouncing orb and scattered orb. And I got scattered orb last. I'm pretty sure I got torpor wave first, and that was actually pretty enjoyable because I do enjoy this, just hitting it, and then you can also line it up, get in the back, or you can also expand it. I thought that was pretty enjoyable, right? But when I let me tell you, when I unlocked bouncing orb and scattered orb, bruh, let's just get this out of the way. When I unlocked this, let me tell you, this, of course, I run over here to be alone, and these people want to, maybe they were checking me out, who knows? But either way, the point is, this, so enjoyable. So just look at all of it. Look at all of that. I love it. It's so fun. It's so enjoyable. It's so great. It really makes the staff for me. But you're saying that I would have to, I gotta wait, or we gotta wait until level 8 feet level to unlock that? It's just like, it's painful. This with nothing is painful. The learning curve on this is painful, and just as it exists, in my opinion, is painful. But you throw in some bouncing orbs and some scattered orbs, man. Now you're cooking with butter. It's great. It's great. So that being said, I really think you should reduce it down to 5, because 5 I feel like it's super easily the manageable. Not to mention, when you unlock these weapon masteries, you don't even get them immediately. You then have to go grind even more with the hopes that they drop. And I believe you can only get 1 mastery token per run, and that's if it drops. That's if it drops. So bringing it down to 5, much more manageable, and it allows you to start grinding for these masteries that much sooner, which is going to be a massive quality of life that people are really going to appreciate. So I think you should really seriously look into that. That being said, I want to move on to the sword. There's some things regarding the sword that I want to bring up. For example, let's look at shockwave, right? So I want you to look at this radius. It's a decent sized radius, but I want you to go into your code and check the radius and make sure that it's actually going out this far. The reason I say this is because, look, I stand here and look, this radius, you can see, encompasses all 3 of these dummies, and yet they're not taking any damage. Let's see if I stand in the middle here. Nope, stand closer. Let's get a little closer. Wow, we're starting to hit this one, but we're not even hitting this one or this one. So what if I just move? Now we're hitting this one, but we're not hitting these other ones. So what if I just barely? I had to fine tune this for these 2 to get hit, but yet this one's still not getting hit. So then let's, again, and you're nothing, right? Well, what if I get closer to this one? Okay, okay. But then now look at that. Like, it's clearly within the radius, and yet it's not taking any damage. So what if I get closer? Still nothing. And now, I've also noticed something, is that if my back's turned, does it not engage? It's weird. But let's go over these. I mean, hits those. What about these? Hits those too. And hits these. Well, let's just check the actual radius here. Oh look, I just got lucky that first time. You got to fine tune it, really get in the middle here. Interesting. Okay, well now it's not even hitting it anymore, but you can see that it's encompassing them, but it's not really hitting them. So the 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 code on that needs to be checked for sure. Now the next perk I want to talk about is not Mighty Slash. Excuse me there. It's not Mighty Slash. It's actually Frenzy. There used to be a perk here that's increased your justice from 50 to 100, and I believe that perk was replaced by Inner Justice, which I enjoy a lot. I definitely enjoy the passive gain. When I first got this, I thought it was just going to be a weak amount of passive gain, but no, it's quite a significant amount. Look at that. That's pretty good. That's a decent gain. You're always going to be topped off. Always, 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 always. It's great. But but what I wanted to point out is Frenzy. I think Frenzy's not worth it. And that's because it says the more justice you have, the quicker your light slashes are. Well, you don't even really notice how fast or how much faster it is. At least to me. I'm gonna readjust. Or actually, like, it looks like it's a smidge faster. There is no noticeable difference. And so what I suggest is the base speed should definitely be increased because obviously there's no noticeable difference. And then furthermore, I think the perk that originally gave you 100 justice should be incorporated into frenzy. So it would say increases your justice by 100 or increases your justice by 50 and also increases the speed of your light attack based on how much justice you have. So you're taking the two and combining them, and then that way you can go back to 100. And like I said, the base the base should already be increased, but then at 100 you can add it even more. So at 50 it's already going. I think it should already be significantly faster than it is now, but then at 100 it's even faster. You know, that's what I think should be done with that. Because right now, it sounds cool. Seems like it'd be fun. I really want to use it, but it's not worth using. Shockwave, too good. Inner Justice, awesome. Very enjoyable. Plus, if you were to do that with Frenzy, then you could either synergize that with Final Justice or synergize that with Mighty Slash. And that would be pretty cool, pretty fun. Open up some really interesting builds. Moving on to the bow. I think small quiver, what I would like to see from small quiver is instead of 2 arrows, it's 3 arrows. After all, you have 6 shots. This is 33 Immortals, 3, you know. Make small quiver, instead of having 2 arrows, you have 3 arrows in your quiver. And if you do that, then you can synergize that really well with auto recall, because as 2, it's, you're still having it's not as fast as it could be because you're constantly having to wait for it to reload that one shot. Whereas if it was 3, then you would definitely see a significant change just overall in speed, DPS, etc. So I think, again, small quiver should be increased to 3 arrows instead of 2, simply for the synergy with auto recall. Also a little bit disappointed in double shot. Double shot has potential to be super cool, whether it be with, with the light shot or with the heavy shot, but it's kind of not, because look at these angles. This is clearly a 90-degree and a 45, if you will. Maybe even a 30, but we'll go with 90 and 45. And it's like, what can you do with that? Out of all the fights I've done, all the monsters I've killed, there is rarely, if ever, a time when the monsters are just gonna be boom right there, right at a fucking 90 and a 45, and I'm like, oh, got him. No, they're usually always at a 90 and an 89. Also, I said that was 45. Yeah, I guess that could be 45, maybe 60. But either way, the point is that they're always going to be here at 90 and then adjacent at like 89, 88. So it'd be way cooler if either A, you shrank the distance between the 2 shots, or you just fired 2 charge shots in a straight line. That'd be so much better. It's unfortunate that pierced arrows does less damage, but it's whatever. Let's move on, shall we? Oh, yes. There are 2 weapon slots. I know that there were originally 3 weapon slots. I am not exactly sure why y'all got rid of that and why you swapped it or nerfed it, reduced it down to 2 weapon slots. I would love to know your logic. I'm thinking it's probably because you felt like 3 weapon slots would be a bit overpowering, but I would really like to see 3 weapon slots. Maybe we'll see that in the early access or future. I don't know, but I think 3 weapon slots would be pretty cool to bring back. Just think of it, right? Like Inner Justice, Shockwave, and Frenzy. Oh, that'd be so cool. That'd be so juicy. Or even like, quick shot, auto recall, and piercing arrows. Whew, sheesh. Pretty juicy. There's a lot you can do with 3 versus 2. So I would like to see that brought back. I'd even like to just know your reasoning on why you did that, why you got rid of it. But moving on. I think, it's not even I think, it's I know. Tutorials. I think tutorials are super important. And with the amount of people that are just rushing into Inferno that are just doing monkey see, monkey do, and since there's no chat, and a lot of these people aren't on Discord, it's very impossible to make sure that they know what they need to do to succeed and be the best player that they can be and get the best possible outcome for themselves and their comrades. And to do that, you should force the tutorial. And by doing that, I mean they should be forced to do the tutorial before Inferno unlocks. Like if they run in here and they immediately try and go up here, it should just be locked. Or if they hit enter and try and open it, they should all be grayed out, and there should be in red lettering saying complete tutorial first to unlock Inferno. And the tutorial there will hopefully be, let's see what we got here. I have no idea what advanced or mastery is going to entail. Hopefully it's going to talk about the importance of the ascension platforms and, you know, equally spreading out to the platforms depending on where you are on the map instead of zerging or rushing to the middle of the map. The importance of teleporting and helping your comrades, because every soul in the fight for freedom matters. And you know, also the importance of slowing down, taking time to run around the map and just, you know, farm up levels and, you know, keys and bones, etc., before just rushing headlong into. Bit of a lag spike there. It's probably just my graphics card dying. No big deal. But yeah, that being said, I think tutorials should be forced. Man, it's already 32 minutes into this video and we are not even halfway through my feedback sheet. Juicy, very juicy. All right, well, next on the list is the glowing shackles on Lucifer. Very important, as we can see from the compendium here, that is it? No, it's Last Betrayal. Exactly. As you can see here with Last Betrayal, you have put this very intense glow on the eyes that are going to summon death on the map. Meanwhile, the head that's not summoning death, his eyes aren't glowing. I think this is an excellent visual cue, an excellent visual strategy. You need to do the same for Frozen Hate. This glow is not enough. These need to be very luminous. I'm talking grossly incandescent. You know, such wondrous light shining off of them, emanating, if you will. Right? They just need to be. They need to be more radiant than the sun. More radiant than, I forgot his name. Solaire. Just kidding, I didn't forget his name, obviously. But yeah, they need to glow. They need to seriously glow so that it's undeniable that when you look at them like, oh, I gotta kill these, or I gotta focus these, you know, I gotta do something about these. Furthermore, while we're on the topic of this boss on Lucifer, y'all have it set up to where on his health bar in the, or rather on the top right of his health bar, whenever he's doing one of these 3 abilities, he has damage resistance, and you see a little shield that has an 80 on it. That's not intuitive. And the players that are going to be coming into this game, doing these fights, they're not going to know what that means. They're not going to understand. Visual cues and visual learning is supreme in the sense that just like you've got these glowing red eyes, if you were to take the health bar of Lucifer, and granted, this was mentioned by your mod, the A Gamer, in his feedback. I think his feedback is excellent. He talks about getting rid of that shield and using something more visual like a frozen health bar, right? So you take his normal health bar and you freeze it over. In this case, it's shackles. So you would cover his health bar in frozen shackles. And then when you destroy one shackle, half of that frozen shackled health bar disappears. It crumbles away. And then when you kill the second one, it also crumbles away. I think that's not only an intuitive way to say, hey, like, don't attack the boss because he's shielded, and also to help people align them, being like, oh, he's got these frozen shackles. It's frozen hate. It's shackle time, right? Gotta break the shackles. Whereas with Eternal Sorrow, I think it should be a frozen health bar, and either the frozen health bar also has a raining visual effect to it that crumbles away, or more importantly, it's a frozen health bar, and then as you have all your frozen tears, you have streams of energy flowing to and from Lucifer, and as you destroy the crystal tears, those streams of energy dissipate, and so does his frozen health bar. It starts to crumble away, right? Again, great visual cues, great way to understand, like, hey, this is what I need to be doing. And if I see this frozen tear-eyed health bar, I know, okay, it's frozen tears. I got to attack the frozen tears. As for Last Betrayal, again, a frozen health bar, but then there's frozen spikes all along the health bar. Very basically reminiscent of what we're seeing here, right? And as you kill the traitors, then a third of that health bar crumbles away, and then another third and another third. Again, great visuals, great way to sync up your mind and be like, oh, okay, this one's a frozen health bar with a bunch of frozen spires all along it. Okay, it's Last Betrayal. I need to kill the ads. Again, shout out to your mod, the A Gamer, for that suggestion. I think that was wonderful. Moving forward, the Burn Witches, which are these guys. I think they should have their cast time reduced because they quickly cover the map with death, with flaming death. And then if you get them as an elite, usually they spawn with a whole bunch of them, and so they're literally just rapid firing off these death and decay all over the floor, or fiery death. And then again, like I said, if you get the elite version, then it's summoning massive ones, and then on top of that, it's summoning these skulls. And if you don't kill the skulls, which a lot of players aren't going to know that intuitively, so if you don't kill the skulls, then the skulls erupt with manic laughter, exploding and leaving a huge area of flaming desecration, and the map quickly, very quickly, gets dominated in death. So I think the frequency of those attacks. Hold on. Excuse me. I think the frequency of those attacks should be reduced. Moving on to daily quest. I greatly think that daily quest should be 3 a day. Now, I know how you have it currently set up where you get 1 a day, and if you miss it, then no big deal. It sits there, and it kind of acts like a pool, right? You can save up to 3 over the course of 3 days. But having 1 a day is incredibly brutal. You should really do 3 a day, and if someone misses it, just do the same thing you're doing right here, and then there'll just be a scroll wheel. Excuse me. And so if you miss a day, then you'll have the 3 for the new day. Oh, brutal. Well, let's interesting. Well, I will end this recording here and come back.